Okay, we're recording right now, so anything you say can and will be used against you in the law of the reptile community, which should scare the shit out of you the way things are going nowadays. Okay, so here's a good one. In one sentence, two if you must, what is Roaming Reptiles?
Roaming Reptiles is an educational program that brings the world of reptiles to you, and it's basically education with a purpose.
Education with a purpose. I love it. Where's it out of?
We are in Bakersfield, California.
How far do you travel for to do your education? Or is
we
there
go
a
all
limit?
over California.
I'm sorry?
We go all over California.
All over California. You should come up north in September, I believe it is, for the Sacramento show.
Hey, I'd love to one time. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. How'd you get started? How did the whole Roaming Reptiles idea get started?
All right, so this is gonna be more than two sentences.
That's okay.
We in I think it was like 2009. Roaming Reptiles started in 2007 by Andrew Barton, and we hired him to do my daughter's her classroom for a presentation. And when I had to go, so we went, and I was just kind of blown away by what this guy was doing. And after that, I didn't hear from him for probably 2-3 years, and that's probably close to 4 years. And I got an email. He saw my Facebook page, and that I had reptiles, and he sent me a message asking me, is this something I'd be interested in doing, because he's moving. And he didn't realize it was me that hired him.
Oh, okay.
At that time, you know. So we met that next week, and we started talking, and we worked out a deal, and next thing you know, I took it over. And I did probably close to 40 or 50 shows with him in training, just so he can kind of show me how to do it, you know, what's the best way to present the animals, talk to kids, talk to adults. So I really got some good training in before I did my first show.
So how was it at the beginning? Tell me. You must have been a little freaked out going in around all these people and educating them.
I was scared to death. I remember my very first show I did. I had my lovely wife with me, and I remember I was talking about, I had my California king snake out, and I was so nervous. I couldn't really feel anything. And next thing I know, the kids and parents are laughing, and I didn't realize what they were laughing at until I looked at my hand, and the king snake had like my thumb down his throat. And I was so nervous and so scared I couldn't feel anything. And I basically just had to continue doing the show, you know, the snake snacking on my finger until he let go, and then I could kind of move on. But yeah, that was my first show. I won't say it was a great show. I was terrified. So, you know, I'm sure the crowd knew that, you know, I was mortified about being in front of people.
Now, how long did it? I mean, I assume today. I mean, just by talking to you so often, that terror is completely gone. You're right at home doing what you do.
Well, you know, before I got Roaming Reptiles, you couldn't get me in front of people. I mean, I was terrified to be in front of a crowd and talk or anything. And something kind of clicked. And after a few shows, I was like, okay, now I kind of got the rhythm of this, and I really started doing it. And now I still get nervous, but that's also a good thing. You know, that keeps me on my toes, keeps me paying attention to the animals, watching them, making sure everything's good. So yeah, you know, I still get nervous, but it's easier now.
Now, I got to assume that probably like most other things, when somebody has an idea that, I mean, it's just an idea, and then you come to a point where you realize this. I mean, obviously, in your case, you came to a point where this is what you want to do. You know, and how long from the time you started until the time you just knew this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life?
It was probably after my
Mm-hmm.
I realized, okay, I didn't want to breed animals anymore. I threw that goal away about being a big breeder and all that kind of jazz, and I wanted to focus on education because I know that that's what's most important in this hobby.
Yeah, I can't say enough how, education seems to, and I know it's still there. I don't think everybody's completely forgotten about it or ignored it, but I could remember as a child, and I just spoke to him the other day, Mark O'Shea, and I remember watching him, educate people, and all those other people on TV. I mean, they all did it kind of in their own way, and it was just part of it, and I can remember it used to irritate me, in my infancy in this hobby, when people would use scientific names and they would use them over and over again, and it used to get so irritating to me. But it was people trying to, they were either going to school for this or something, and they were trying to train themselves to use proper terminology and everything. But you don't see that kind of stuff anymore. I have to say, and I'll be the first to admit, I spend way too much attention to social media, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I gotta say, I see more people taking pictures of bite wounds on there than I see people really trying to educate another generation into this hobby.
Right. Well, there's different people do things different ways. There's people that do what I do that have a show that's more comical. They have shows that's more dramatized. My shows, I keep it basic. I want the audience to enjoy themselves. I want them to learn something. I don't focus on scientific names. I don't, a lot of that stuff they won't remember.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep it simple. When I refer to my snakes, or any animal for that matter, like my Burmese python. She's a Burmese python. Her name is Sally, and I refer to her as Sally. And the reason I do that, and I'll say her name 5 or 6 times when I'm talking about her. You give them a name, a personal name, a fun name,
something to hold on to.
It personalizes that animal with the audience,
mm-hmm.
and they don't look at it as a mean snake. They look at it as Sally. And it truly, truly changes their whole outlook, and you can feel them get comfortable. And so that's what I want to do. I want to make them as comfortable as I possibly can. I'm not going to dramatize anything. I'm not going to, put myself in stupid situations where something bad could happen. I keep it simple. I keep it fun, and then I make sure everybody gets a hands-on experience, so they have that connection with the animal.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's definitely an interesting way to go. But like you said, when you're dealing with such a young demographic, like you said, they're not going to remember names. I'm so used to dealing with older people.
Right.
My answer to when I'm teaching somebody about a rattlesnake and they ask me if it'll bite, my answer is it'll kill you if you let it. Where.
Well, now my answer is because I get that question every show. Does it bite?
Mm-hmm.
And I say, if it has a mouth, it bites.
Thank you.
I say kids bite. We all bite. We've all bit at some point. So that's what I tell them. If it has a mouth, it can bite.
One of my biggest pet peeves, when it comes to anything in the reptile community, whether it be education or just general conversation, is somebody saying it doesn't bite. I always try to remind people, just because it's tame, just because it probably won't, doesn't mean it doesn't remember how.
Well, and I tell people that want to do shows, I get phone calls all the time from people that want to do a show, and I tell them, just because your ball python doesn't bite you, or a crowd of 3 people, you still do not know how that ball python is going to react when there's 50 hands coming at it.
Exactly.
So you got to ease yourself into it. And the best way to do that is to find somebody who does these shows and let them train you and let them help you out. And that's a big problem, because a lot of people don't want to train anybody. They don't want to share secrets, which I think is just ridiculous.
Well,
if you're not willing to share secrets and help people, then you're not really helping the hobby.
Now that's a very interesting subject you bring up. I mean, does your trade have its own little trade secrets, and are they really that secretive?
You know what? I've talked to people that do the shows, and they would not tell me a single thing.
Really?
You know, not talk to others that are more than willing to talk about it. You know, and I'm comfortable enough in my show and knowing that I'm going to be here, that I have absolutely no problem telling everybody exactly what I do, how I do it, and how I can help them out.
That just it boggles my mind when it comes to educating. I mean, is this just a thing in the reptile community, or in all communities that have something to do with education? I just couldn't see why, sharing whatever secrets people have come across or learned to better what they do. It seems to me that it would be their number one priority to share it with everybody else.
Right. Well, and unfortunately we have people that, they talk about education and how great it is, but they do it and they keep these, I guess, secrets because they want to further their own career, I guess. They want to be on TV or something like that. So they don't want to give up too much. I'm not going for TV.
Yeah.
I'm that's not my goal. My goal is like I said, each individual person. I want to reach people on a personal level. You can't do that on TV. Exactly. I want to be able to talk to them face to face, hold the animal, learn about the animal, enjoy the animal.
Yeah. Now you mentioned your wife earlier. What she think about all this?
At the beginning she wasn't big on reptiles.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's great. I mean, if it wasn't for her, there's no way I could do it.
Really?
She is behind me 100% all the time. We talk about what we want to do and how the business we want it to grow, and even when it comes to new animals, we talk about what do we want to add. She's helped me with shows. She's been out there. She does it. She knows it. So yeah, without her and her support, there's absolutely no way I could do it.
That's awesome. Now you had mentioned some time ago that you were either, I don't remember, forgive me, you were either working on or working with some stuff on classroom pets.
Yeah, so Chris Law started the classroom pet project, and this is another thing with some of the educators. I know when it's called me and complained about it. We want to put reptiles in the classroom. I think I've placed I can't tell you how many animals I've placed in classrooms already. But it's important for these kids to see these animals day in and day out, watch them for the year, how they grow, what they eat, their routine, and I've got a call from a guy that does education and says, you shouldn't do that because if you put reptiles in the classroom, they won't call you for shows. And that just kind of blew my mind because I don't see that. I get phone calls more, from this now.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I want classrooms and I want pets in the classroom. They need it. I remember I had it when I was a kid, and I'm working with the school district now, talking to the supervisors about letting them do it because they banned basically all animals from the schools. And so I'm working with them saying, this is what we can do, and so hopefully I can make some headway and get some more animals out there.
That's amazing. Yeah, I was very fortunate when I went to school that we got to have reptiles in our classroom, and we got to even kind of one up that. We got to go out back behind the ball fields and catch fence lizards and king snakes and stuff, and we'd bring them in, and the teacher, which obviously back then the education system all over the country was a lot better off. Had a little bit more money to spend, so they paid for housing and feeding and everything. Are you finding something similar today, or are you guys having to cover all that cost?
Well, it's kind of hard sometimes because I cover everything: the housing, the enclosure, the lights,
Mm-hmm.
everything, including the animal. The only thing I tell them is they're responsible for the food. That's it. But again, I'm not going to charge. I refuse to charge teachers for this. I will not do it.
Yeah.
This is something that Chris thought of, and I, ran with it here in Bakersfield. I want to give these kids an opportunity to learn about these animals, and I don't want to have that burden on the teacher saying, "Well, I got to come up with $100 to pay for this." I don't want that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And this is, I mean, Chris is doing something similar back east, right? So this is like a coast-to-coast effort here.
right. Well, he has roaming reptiles in Louisiana,
Mm-hmm.
and he's doing the pet project there also.
Interesting. So, I mean, what do you see? I mean, obviously, this next question is kind of, I guess it's a matter of opinion. The proper, you ask 10 people, you'll probably get 8 different answers. But where do you see our hobby going? I guess it's a 2-part question. Where do you see it going now, just the way things are? And where do you see it going if we choose to pay a lot more attention to education?
Well, I will say over the last few years, I guess maybe it's just I'm seeing it more now that I do it. There's more of a push towards education, that I see now than what there was years ago. And I like that. I think it's important. I think if we continue to push education, I think we can take this hobby wherever we want it. I think if we do that and stop worrying about, I'm sure it's going to upset some people, stop worrying about the morph, stop worrying about, how many genes you can fit in one snake or one lizard, and focus on education, I think that will save the hobby. And I tell people in my show, I bring out, I have some morph. I have a lavender albino reticulated python, beautiful snake. But I tell people, if you cannot find the beauty in a normal-looking ball python or a normal-looking leopard gecko, get out of the hobby.
Yeah.
If you cannot find that beauty, if you have to look for a morph to say, "Man, that's a beautiful snake," please exit. Find the beauty in these animals, what they would be in the wild. Find that beauty. You do that, you're good. And I think we can go back to that and focus on the education and let education lead instead of taking a back seat. Let it lead. I guarantee you this hobby will grow.
Yeah, I never understood the. I mean, I've found king snakes in my backyard that look so much better than anything I'm seeing on the internet. I can see the interest in the morphs and the even the hybrids. I can see the interest. I can see why people like them, but they've just never. And even though I'm kind of two-sided saying this because I have a couple morphs myself, But most of what I have from my hognose snakes, children's pythons, Colombian boas, they're all naturally occurring patterns and colors, and it just seems like the natural stuff, the stuff Mother Nature put there, for me at least, is so much better.
Right.
Now what, I don't know if you track this, but do you have a particular percentage of shows that you do where the people have virtually no interest in reptiles? They just think it'd be cool to have some there. And how often during your shows do you communicate with people and kind of bring them to the light side, if you will?
Probably at least 80-85%.
Really?
Yeah, most of the shows I do, and believe it or not, most of the shows I do are for girls' birthday parties. I do a lot of boys' birthday parties, but I do a lot of girls. And I really don't know why that is. But a lot of times it's moms are way back in the back. The kids are up front and they're listening. They want to hold everything, and I always call for it's not a credit to me. It's a credit to the animals. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And the animals are so good at what they do. I mean, they truly, truly are that good at what they do. They can change people's minds.
Now, what do you find has the most interest? You know, the bigger stuff, like you mentioned, you had a reticulated python. I believe your Burmese python's also pretty big, isn't she?
Yeah, my Burm Sally, she's about, I don't know, 13 foot or so.
Wow, that's impressive.
She's always popular. Francis, my African bullfrog, is popular. My tarantulas are popular. You know, even my California king snake is popular. My legless lizards are popular. It really kind of varies from every show.
You know, I got about 10 tons of respect for you for dealing with those tarantulas. I don't know, and I see that they're popular and people like them, and I don't know if you remember, I posted a video here, it might have been 2 years ago, where I was going to try to get over. I have an unnatural fear of spiders, and I went to a friend's house locally who had several tarantulas, and after being coached for a little while, we turned on the cameras and I let one crawl up on my arm. And
yeah, I do a lot of shows. People have a fear of especially tarantulas.
Well,
and
you see, I'm not sure if the experience helped my fear or made it worse. I remember him telling me that if at any point I got uncomfortable or whatever, just lower my hand down inside the cage and she'll crawl off my hand right back into her cage. And I did that, and she proceeded to what I would call jog up my arm.
right, yeah.
You know, and I just don't know. And then we moved on to the scorpions, and I said, never mind.
Well, you know, and that brings up, I had and still do to a point, a fear of scorpions.
Mm-hmm.
They terrified me, you know, and a teacher called me and said, hey, I have this scorpion. I've never held it, but I've had it for like 5 years, and I think it's time for her to go. And I went to her classroom. There was an African flat rock scorpion, and I was like, wow, okay, you know. So I got her on the last week, 2 weeks ago, and it took me a while to hold her. You know, in fact, she did her first show yesterday, and I had to take her out and hold her, and yeah, I was nervous, you know, but I also realized that I have to overcome that fear, because I encourage people to overcome their fears. So, yeah, I overcame my fear right in front of a crowd.
Yeah, probably one of the worst ways to have to do it. Now, how often do you find? I mean, do these animals get nervous around crowds? Do you ever have any issues with them that you got to kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, hide from the crowd because of the nervousness?
No, and I'm gonna probably upset some people here too. A lot of people use hides in their enclosure. Okay, for all their animals. I don't use any. I use no hides. The reason is I want them to hear me coming in. I want them to see me. I want them to, you know, I may have a log in there or something like that. They can get under. But everything's out in the open. And I you know, they hear my kids, they see my kids, myself, my wife. I want them to constantly see that. And that way they're used to that commotion, that noise.
Yeah.
You know, I can hold Sally, and I usually bring up 2 people. That shows when I hold Sally, and I have them right beside me, and I have Ted, and they're holding the rest of the body. And at the end of the show, I did a show a couple weeks ago with like 600 kids. Every one of those kids came up and touched Sally. They all lined up and they came right across, and they all pet Sally. And she is so good at what she does. She will just lay there and just hang out.
Now it's got to. It's got to be an insane amount of time you spend with an animal like that to feel comfortable enough to know that, you know, all these people can come up and touch it and there won't be any issues, huh?
No, you know what? I spend a lot of time with the animals, between shows. But it's really weird. I get a lot of people say these animals don't understand, they don't know anything, they're pure instinct driven. After seeing some of my animals do shows and deal with people, I would beg to differ a little bit. I think they know when it's showtime and when it's not.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, I mean, where do you go from here? And don't share any of your top secret information or anything if you have any. But what are the plans for roaming reptiles in the near and the future?
Well, near, I just want to continue to book shows and educate as many people as possible. That's what I love to do. That's what I have a passion for. In the future, I would love to open a shop, and have be able to bring people to me and have animals there at the shop to do shows with, and basically kind of like an indoor zoo for a reptile.
Mm-hmm.
That's my goal. Is I want to be able to get as many people through the doors and enjoy these animals as possible.
And what? I mean, if you could use, one paragraph to explain the importance of education to everybody out there, what would you tell them? If you had, let's say, 5 minutes with everybody out there, what would you tell them?
Without education, everything dies. Without education, there is no conservation.
That's pretty self-explanatory.
It's I've gotten phone calls. I get a lot of phone calls from people. I got phone calls because my prices are too cheap. And I tell them the reason I charge what I charge is because I want everybody to have the opportunity to work with these animals.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people charge $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 sometimes. I will never charge that much. I refuse. If you're charging that much, if you're up in the thousands, you're not in it for education. You're in it for money.
Yeah.
I want everybody to be able to have an opportunity to see these animals. Plain and simple.
Well, you can't argue with that. That's for sure. And how can people find you? Whether they want to find you just on the internet or book a show or anything. How do they get in touch with you?
RoamingReptiles.com. Roaming Reptiles on Facebook. My phone number is 661-204-4372.
Okay, and what would it cost to get you to Sydney for a show?
Sydney?
You don't have to answer that one.
Well, my prices might be a little higher then.
Just a little bit, huh?
Yeah. I've gotten phone calls. I got a guy from New York that called me.
Wow.
And apparently he didn't realize I was, on the West Coast. And he was wanting to get prices from me. I was like, dude, it's going to take me a little while to figure out the price on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, but you see, that's one of the things I like about what you do is, I don't even have to ask you. I know you do it.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And you'd probably do it for cheaper than that guy can find somebody in New York to do it for. It's amazing.
Well, like I said, man, I stopped the breeding. I might have my personal pet projects here coming up, but for the most part, I'm not interested in being a breeder.
Yeah.
I want to educate, plain and simple, and I want to help other educators achieve what they can do, and get out there and do it.
Yeah, well, you can't argue with that. That's for sure.
For me, this is a team sport. It's not an individual game. It's we're all together. So let's work together. Let's put the negative aside for a little while, and let's push the positive out there.
That I can't say I agree with that enough. It's we see the negative, and we have enough. I don't know, and I can't think of a time I've ever seen you really push it, and I absolutely sway away from it. But we all understand that we have common enemies out there. We all understand that the Humane Society, PETA, the Fish and Wildlife Service, we're dealing with some stuff right now, and it really doesn't need to be said. For anybody that's been around more than a month, they should pretty much know what we're dealing with.
Right.
But to see it over and over and it just runs you into the ground. There's not. Where's the positivity? Where is the happiness? I guess.
Right.
I can't believe how many people I see every single day that had an extreme passion for this hobby and still claim to, but it seems like a chore for them. It seems like they're just not having fun with it anymore. And
right. Well, it's like my Facebook page for Reptiles. I don't put negativity up there.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. That's not what we do. I'll push the positive things that we do. The animals. I'm not going to do that on that page. And even my personal page, I might say some things every once in a while, but for the most part, I praise my animals and how good they're doing. I praise the people that I go to shows to, and I praise them for being so open-minded to come up and hold and interact and overcome fears. And that's what I want people to see. I don't need to put negativity on my pages every day or once a week. I don't want it.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's no, like I said, there's no reason for it, and I do notice that every time I see you posting, it's something about how great the show was, or about getting the animals ready for the show, and I can't think of seeing anything, and so you're either not posting it anything negative, or it's so little that I don't remember it. I mean, it's fine if we're having, an issue that needs to get out there, but once it's out there, leave it alone. You know what I mean?
Right. I think the last biggest negative thing I've ever put that really got going was that TV show, Eaten Alive.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was my last real rant that I ever went on. And because to me, I'm sorry, I have a simple attitude, about that show. I'm right, you're wrong.
Well, I mean, it's 100% understandable, because something like that it's directly going against what you've dedicated your life to doing.
Right, and that's what I tell people.
You're going around educating people, and they're going around uneducating them.
Right, and I've talked to people that do stuff like that, and I say, listen, I go, I'm around people every day. I know what they think.
Mm-hmm.
They tell me. If you're not around it every day, you really don't know what these people think. Or their attitudes for it. Or against it. So you really got to kind of change plans every once in a while and go into each show differently on what these people, how they react and stuff like that. Because if you're not around it every day, you don't know. And to put a TV show on there like that is completely undermining everything that I do.
Yeah.
And everybody else that does what I do.
Yeah. Okay, well...
And another thing is don't promote yourself. It's not about me. It's not about any educator. It's about the animals. That's what I tell people. Focus on the animal. Let them be the stars. You're just a handler. You're just there. You're there to give them some facts, make it fun, but it's about the animals. It's never, I did a great show today. No, the animals did a fantastic job today. That's what it's about.
Exactly. And it's like I always say, don't, make good shit and it sells itself.
Right.
I think some of the best products and services, whether it be reptile related or anything related, that I've ever seen have been the least amount advertised.
Right.
And it's just...
Well, that's when I post pictures up, I'm very rarely in them. You might see a hand or my big bald head every once in a while. But other than that, you're going to see the person and the animal it's interacting with.
True story, folks. Look at his Facebook page. I've seen it. Every now and then you see that head, though.
Yeah, it glows, man. That's not it the right way, man. It's like shiny.
All right, well, before we get into a little intermission and get into the second part, do you have any final words?
You know what? Just, for anybody that's thinking about doing education, do it. But also learn and find someone who does it, that's willing to talk to you, and call me, email me, whatever. It doesn't matter. Text me, something, and let's work together and let's make it happen.
And on that note, I would like to point out Brandon will call you back in the middle of the night if need be.
Yes, sure, I will.
All right, Brandon. Thanks a million.
All right, brother.
All right, I think we're good. Okay, so welcome back. We're still with Brandon from Roaming Reptiles, and here's where we kind of have a little bit of fun. We spoke a little bit during the intermission there, which obviously you guys didn't see because I'm just going to cut it all together. And we decided on a very interesting topic, which is one I think Brandon can agree we see all too often, and that is differences of opinion within the reptile community, whether it be what's hot, what's not, care providing information, and so Brandon.
Yes, sir.
You want to kick that one off?
Well, here's my view, and this is only my opinion. But there's differences in everything. Every person can care for their animals a different way and still be right. As long as your animal's healthy and it's doing good and it's growing, it's doing everything it's supposed to do, then obviously you're doing something right. Far too many times we have people, jumping on posts saying, "Oh, you're doing it wrong. You can't do that." Well, my animals live this long, so I can do that.
Absolutely.
It fits what I do. I get a lot of questions about my feeding routine, with all the shows. My animals feed on a regular schedule. I have them, so if I have 5 shows on a Saturday and it's feeding day, well, I guess I get to stay up late and feed. And if I have shows the next day, then so be it. And everything's been fine. I haven't had any problems. I've had people tell me, "Well, you can't feed that animal and do a show." No, I really can, and they've been fine.
Yeah.
I don't think we give these animals enough credit.
I think it's very, very important with this topic to note that there's multiple ways of doing things and achieving the same outcome.
Right.
However, there is stuff that's routinely done out there day to day that is not right, that is not achieving the proper outcome. And if anybody does see that, dragging them through the mud, calling them stupid, whatever you want to do, that's not the right way to handle it. I know a very good example was one of my first ball pythons. It was a baby, it was a hatchling, and I had it in a 55-gallon enclosure, and I could not get her to eat for the life of me. And it was, as a matter of fact, it was Brian Barczyk that told me the cage is too big. You can't. They like to be secluded. They like to be safe in a small area. And I had a slight disagreement with him about it, because you're not going to tell me out in the wild these things are in a safe small area. They've got hundreds of miles. They've got something we can't provide them at all in captivity. But I'll be damned, Brandon, if I didn't put that snake in a 10-gallon tank and a week later she was feeding like crazy.
Well, you know what? I had a similar experience last year. I had a hatching ball python with me, and I even tried different rats, mice, frozen, thawed, live, did it all. And I called my buddy up, and he's been breeding ball pythons for quite a while. And he said, shows, you wanted to be accustomed to the noise and sights. And he said, so crumple up a bunch of newspaper and put it in the tank. And that way, yeah, it's still some hiding spot, but it's not a lot. I did that. I left her in there for 3 or 4 days. I fed her. She ate. I fed her twice. Then I took all the newspaper out, and she's been eating ever since.
Mm-hmm.
So there's plenty of ways to do things, and calling people out and bashing them and doing that, man, that's not going to help anybody.
Well, it doesn't even, let's assume for the second that the offender is totally wrong in what they're doing. You're not helping the situation by bashing them at all. It's they're going to want to continue what they're doing just to spite you, just to try to prove to you that it'll work. And it's not the person that might eventually lose an animal. It's not hurting them. It's not them that suffers. It's not the person that bashed them that suffers. It's the animal that suffers in the end. There's a right way and there's a wrong way. If there's something that you see going on that is just totally unacceptable, then you have to, and I don't want to sound all soft here, but you have to approach it with compassion, and
no, you know what, and I completely agree. And I remember one of it is years ago, forums were really popular. And I remember on this one forum, a lady asked just a general question about a leopard gecko, and this guy got on there, and he spends far too many hours on a forum. But he was like, if you would just use the search button, because we get really tired of answering these questions.
Yeah.
And I read that, and it infuriated me. And I said, you know what? I got a post on there. I said, if you get tired of answering questions, get the hell out.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I'm so tired of people saying, oh, we get the same questions. If they would just search. Not everybody knows that, So when someone asks a question, bite your tongue and just answer the question. And do it in a way that makes them understand and helps them out.
If I can add to that, if somebody goes in a forum and asks how to rotate their tires, Google might be a reasonable response to that question. But when somebody's asking how to take care of an animal, when somebody is attempting, these people that are supposedly asking these stupid questions, and I wish you could see the dumb face I'm making right now, because I don't believe there's any such thing as a stupid question in our hobby. They're the future of our hobby, and if they come into the hobby and get met with a bunch of dicks, what do you think their response is going to be in 5 years when somebody asks that same question? However, if somebody takes their time to help these people and show them the light and show them the right way, and understand that they're new, that shit spreads like the plague.
Right. And I get phone calls. I wrote an article a couple years ago, and I talked about that. I said, I get the same question at every show, from people. I get a lot of phone calls, asking me about how to care for this and how to care for that. And I've heard I've seen on the forums and Facebook, you should have done all your research before you bought the animal. Now, while I agree with that, not everybody does. So just because they went and bought a leopard gecko without reading 6 books first doesn't make them a bad person, doesn't make them a bad pet keeper. At least they're coming and looking for answers now instead of 2 or 3 months when the animal's almost dead. And I wrote an article. There's times where I'm just tired. I'm tired. I don't want to answer my phone, or I don't want to return an email. But you know what? This is my job. This is what I do. So I do answer the phone. I do return an email because this is what I chose to do. This is the choice I made for my life. If you, I said this in the article about the big breeders. If you cannot take 5 minutes of your day to child or a young adult or even an adult about your animal, on how to take care of it, you don't know who you're passing up. You don't know what that child could turn to be in the future. You know, you don't know if you just really just blown off the best conservationist we might have ever seen.
You know, I'd like to hit on two parts of that real quick. I'll start with the most recent. You don't know who you're passing up. A good friend of mine who makes YouTube videos, who's extremely successful in it, told me one time that you have to respond to all your comments you get. And now he doesn't make reptile related or even close to it videos, but one of the last times I've spoken to him, he mentioned that he's going to have to hire somebody to start answering emails for him because he was getting so busy. And he had mentioned that when you're in this particular business, that person you ignore might be the next Discovery Channel producer or whatever.
Right.
And
I agree.
By you ignoring this person, they're going to remember that. And you know, I generally. Well, go ahead.
No, a year ago I did a school. I did I think 4 assemblies at a school. It was almost like 1,600 kids altogether. And after the first assembly, it was probably 400 or 500 kids. After the assembly, a little girl came up and wanted my autograph. Now, that blew me away. I mean, it truly blew me away. And next thing I know, there was a line of a couple hundred kids wanting my autograph. You know, and my shows last about an hour and a half sometimes. I was there for probably 3 hours signing autographs for these kids.
Wow.
And it's not because, you know, chances are most of these kids, they're going to lose it. They're going to throw it away, you know. But there may be that one kid that will say, look what I got. This is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to pass that opportunity up.
Now, how do you? I mean, how do you combat some of the we spoke a little bit ago about the negativity. How do you? I mean, I see you around social media. I'm sure you look at it, and when you've got just you attempting to spread positivity, and you've got 10,000 other people out there with absolutely nothing good to say about life, how do you counter that?
My attitude is the positivity will and can and will destroy negativity. You know, somebody posts up something negative, I can post something positive and guarantee you I can get my message out there, you know, for a longer period of time than this other person that's just wanting to bash things, you know, and that's really what I focus on. You know, I want the positivity out there. You know, we have BOI pages and websites, and you look at those BOI pages. You look at a negative post and it has 3,000 comments.
Mm-hmm.
You look at a positive post, it has 2.
Oh, that's so upsetting. It really
is, and you know, we need to flip that upside down. You know, start praising. You know, and it was a couple years ago. I was on a page. I said, let's do something for the next 2 weeks. Find somebody on Facebook. Doesn't have to be a big. In fact, I don't want it to be a big breeder. Find somebody on Facebook that's on your friends list. You might not know that well, but they may have an animal. Go to their page, compliment them, tell them they're doing a good job. Tell them, you know what, I've been watching your page, you're doing good. I like what I see. Try that. See what happens. You know, I think if we could do that, man, it'd be awesome.
You know, I just hit on this last week with one of my return videos. Thank you very much. And that was about, you know, we in the YouTube community, that deal with reptile related subjects, at least at a somewhat serious level where we've been doing it for some time, we're pretty far and few between, and a lot of us are dropping like flies. And I can't share any names. I wish I could, because I'd really like to get some love for this guy out there, but I can't because it's not announced yet. But we're losing another one, and I spoke about this the other day about how, you know, I've got 250,000 video views. I've probably got 10 times that in comments and emails and replies and everything to comments that I've made, and you know, it's weird when so many of them are negative, which is kind of hard to understand at times, but all it takes is, like you said, I got a message on Facebook today from somebody saying that they couldn't, they didn't get to watch me very much because of their particular situation, but they really look forward to every time they can and really like what I do, and this and that. And on my news page on Facebook, I got a message. I've taken quite a long hiatus, and I got a message welcoming me back that I missed and everything, and it's just, I can't tell you how, you know, being somebody on the receiving side of that, there's not a lot you can say to that other than like thank you.
Right.
You know, which I'd like to throw in there real quick. It's so important when somebody says something good about you to respond to them, even if you do just say thank you, just something, you know. But the feeling it gives you, you know, you look at all the negative all week long, and you start asking yourself towards the end of the week, why am I doing this? Why do I put up with this? This is bullshit. I'm not doing it anymore. And then you get one positive comment or something, and you just sit back and think, that's why I'm doing this right there.
Yep, I agree. And you know, and I've had bad shows. Anybody who does this, they have bad shows, you know, and you know, maybe I didn't help somebody, or maybe I didn't, you know, get enough people involved or something, you know, and you know, I know I just didn't do everything I could have done, and I'll get a phone call or a text or an email saying, you know what, thank you for coming, we enjoyed it, we had a great time, you know. And it's like, okay, everything, any kind of negativity I had just kind of goes away, you know. And so you're right, it changes everything.
Yeah.
When you get those responses.
Well, and I mean, I've also found, I mean, there's so many negative, when you get a lot of negative stuff coming in, again, my friend who's on YouTube, he told me one day when, you know, anybody that has ever posted anything on YouTube has been told to kill themselves at one point or another. That's just, people like to say that for some reason. And he's a huge advocate of immediately deleting and blocking those people that say that, because you don't want them in your life. Sorry. But I always feel the need, you know, when something like that or something just absolutely uncalled for is said, I take his advice and do just that and don't deal with it ever again.
Right.
But when I get something,
I had that happen.
well, when I get something negative that's not necessarily personal, I guess you could say, I always, and I've probably told 2,000 people this over the years, do it better. You know, you do what I do, and you do it better than me, and I'll sign my trademarks over to you right now.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I cannot tell you through the years how many people that absolutely hated me, that after having some kind of open dialogue, still watch me to this day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just amazing. But it is the nature of the beast. You know, if you do what I do, even if you do what you do, you're gonna you're going to find people that just don't like you, and it's.
Well, I've had people. I did a show, I guess late last year, and it was for a young girl named Michelle. She's blind. I know a lot of people's heard her story. And there's a picture of her touching Francis, my African bullfrog. And Michelle's a very special person. After this is the second show I've done for her learning group, and after the show, she gave me a big hug, and she said, "I love you, and I love your animals," and I got tears in my eyes from her, because she's just a wonderful, wonderful girl. I posted a picture up of her touching Francis, and I got a lady commenting saying, "I work for this so-and-so zoo, and it's just terrible that you're letting people touch that frog. That frog could die, from all these people touching it." And I deleted the comment because, again, I don't want negativity on my page. I just don't. That's all my page is for. I sent her a message. I said, "Listen," I go, "that frog has been touched by tens of thousands of people, and he is still perfectly fine. There's no problem. I know my animals. I know what they can do, and I've never had any problem at all.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that. It just really annoys me. It's all a whole difference of opinion thing. Yeah, she can have her opinion. That's fine, but I have mine. I have things that I do. I know what I can do, and so and I think it's people post that kind of stuff just because they want to hear themselves and they want to try to sound superior to everybody else.
I have a shirt that my mother got me for Christmas. I believe it was the year before last, that says, "If you've got haters, you must be doing something right."
Right.
And I agree with it 1,000%. I don't use the word hate as a, what's the word I'm looking for? Describatory term. Is that even a word? I think I just made up a word. That's awesome.
Yeah, let's go for it.
I don't use the word hate to describe how I feel about anything. I disagree with the word. I dislike a lot of stuff, but I don't hate anything.
Right.
And I can't, out of all the things I truly dislike, well, let's throw a big bomb out there. Humane Society. I'm not even going to say I hate them. I dislike them. I disagree with them. It's beyond me how somebody could be filled with so much hate that they could say half the things that they say. It's, I mean, how bad of a person do you need to be to tell somebody else to go kill themselves because you don't agree with their opinion? That's
Well,
the people that think.
When I tell my kids, yeah, we don't agree with Humane Society, and what sucks is it's the same thing with our leadership in this country and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They have an opportunity to do something great, and they choose not to. Every person, every organization, they have an opportunity to do something great, and they choose not to. Humane Society, they have an opportunity to do something great. They have the power to do something just miraculous. And instead, they choose to collect their money and try to ban everything. When they could be doing something great.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't hate them. I dislike them. I
greatly dislike them.
Yes. I think it bothers me when people have that opportunity and they're in a position to do something wonderful and they choose not to.
I have to wonder about a few, a good short story that I don't think I've ever told anybody is my wife several years ago got a full ride to college
Right.
through an art scholarship and chose not to go. and I never understood. And of course, she had her reasons, and I get her reason, kind of, but I never understood why. Like you said, you have the opportunity to do something so great, but choose not to do it, and it's like, God, can I have that? You know,
Right.
but I truly think, Brandon, as far as the organizations like you mentioned that have the opportunity to do something great but don't, I I think we're seeing a change in tide with them, and it might not be happening as fast as we would like it to happen, but I'm seeing more and more, not to pick on the Humane Society, but I'm seeing more and more of the truth about them being spread around. And
Oh, yeah.
I like to think that sooner or later, unfortunately, it's probably not going to be, like I said, as soon as we'd like to see it, they're going to have a decision to make. They're either going to have to, I don't mean to sound all religious, but follow the righteous path, or shut it down and go home. And what they've done, the sheer monetary value of what they've done, while disagreeable, tells me that they're not going to shut it down and go home. That they're going to, we're not going to see it overnight. We're going to slowly start seeing a bend in the way they do things, and they're going to slowly start going in a different direction, and hope that
Right.
people at large don't notice.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's like with Reptiles. I'm probably not in the top 50 of educators in this country. I'm probably not even top 100. I'm just a dude with some animals that goes out. But I take every opportunity I get to make a positive impact. Whether it be small, big, whatever. And that there are tons of people that do what I do, and there are tons of people that are far better at it than I am. But I want to make sure that we hit every person. We have interaction with every person. We make those right choices. We make that positive impact.
Yeah, but think about what you just said there for a minute. By going the route you're going, should you choose to do this for the next 30 years, you'll be the only one doing it. You're not. I mean, we've all heard today that as long as you could put food in your family's stomach, you're happy. As long as you can educate these people, you're happy. You don't have to go out and buy the newest car every year. You don't have to live in a 6,000 square foot house. You don't need to go on Facebook and talk about how you're just raping the pocketbook of all these kids' birthdays and stuff. You're happy you're content with what you're doing. And as long as you're content with what you're doing and continue a reasonable growth path, all these other people are going to fall.
Well, and I made a choice when I really got into reptiles and decided, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. And it's funny. I remember saying a prayer. God, I want a Monday through Friday job, 8 to 5. Weekends off to spend with my family. What do I get? I get a job that's mostly weekends.
Yeah.
All hours through the week. I mean, we have to schedule to go to town. We schedule it a few weeks and months in ahead. Nothing is in order like you would have a normal job. And I also made the decision that when I decided I was going to do this, there is no retirement. There is no. I can sit back and collect. Whatever the government wants to give me and I retire. There is none of that. This is what I do till I die. This is my career. This is what I'm going to do. We had a guy here many years ago named Al Robbins. Al Robbins did shows. He was the big guy in California for education, and a lot of the parents that I do shows for, they saw Al Robbins in school, and they say, you know what? I remember him when I was a kid, and we love the fact that you're doing it. And I stop and I think, man, am I going to be 60, 70 years old doing this? Yeah, probably so.
I love the fact that you get shit on for a living. And you're like the Mike Rowe of the reptile community, and you know, you're not detoured. You're not. It's just amazing because most of us are thinking about how are we going to get by tomorrow, you know, how are we gonna. Here's a very good example. Me and my wife are shopping for RVs right now, and you're just going day to day, loving what you do, and you know, who cares about the rest of it? We'll figure that out when we get there.
Yeah, you know, and that stresses my wife out sometimes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, will I ever afford a mansion or, you know, a Ferrari? No, probably not. And I'm okay with that. You know, as long as I can do what I do, as long as my wife is happy with me doing what I do, as long as my kids are safe, they have food, they have a house, they have an education, you know, they have clothes, I'm good. You know, I'm okay. That's what's important to me. You know, I don't look at this as how can I benefit from this? I look at it as how can this hobby benefit from what I do?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think as long as we stick on that path as a greater good, what can the hobby benefit? How can it benefit from what I'm doing? Things will take care of itself.
Well, you know what they say: if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life.
That's it.
And
so you come to my enclosures and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I truly believe you got some good things coming to you.
Well, I hope so. You know, it's we definitely have trying times. You know, in this business, there's difficult times. You know, there may be, you know, winter time where it's kind of slow sometimes. You know, it can be a struggle. You know, trying to get new animals and, you know, to really just kind of enhance the show, and, you know, that's difficult sometimes. You know, I'm lucky enough where I have some really good friends that I can say, hey, do you have this? You know, what do you want for it? And they're like, I don't want anything for it. It's for education. You can have it.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm lucky enough where I can get animals, you know, through friends that believe in what I'm doing. Because trust me, the food bill for these animals is not cheap. You know,
No.
It's an expensive business to have.
It is. Yeah, that's awesome. And once again, roamingreptiles.com, Roaming Reptiles on Facebook. Are you on Twitter or Google Plus?
I'm not on Google Plus. I'm on Twitter. I don't really use it that much. I don't know. I guess I'm just not a big twit. You know, I need to start using that more. I know we're on Instagram. So yeah, we're around.
Awesome. Thank you a million. You know, I'm gonna have to think out. I don't know exactly how to do it. I'm gonna have to think up a way. I think we're like an hour into this already. I'm gonna have to think up a way to give the first 10 people that watch the whole thing a free shirt or something.
Well, you can give me one. That'd be cool.
Hey, it's already in the mail. Consider it done. Thank you a million once again.